Hello, everyone. I didn't get off camera enough, clearly, because Bruno was going to be... Oh, man. He was going to be the DM tonight. Everyone say hi, Bruno.
He talks like this, hello, because he came from Serbia originally.
This is my... He's just a big potato. A big potato full of just all the wrinkles. Bruno, and he doesn't like looking at me. Like, if I go to look at him, the only reason he'll look at me is to lick me. To give me licks. That's the only reason. And now he's going to snort. He's going to sit with me here and hang out. It would have been better if I went under the, like behind the table. That would have been better. And I'm sporting my COVID hair today, so that's good too. Got my toque on because clearly... I know Serbians don't sound like that. That's the only Eastern European. Check it out. Guys, yell shirt. Okay. All right. Say bye to Bruno. Bye. All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to Behind the Screen. Your semi-spoilerific look at what we do here at RealmSmith. I have decided, moving forward, that I am going to take the time on these nights, like I said earlier, to teach you a little something, to do a little how-to, to give you a bit of guidance for those newer DMs who are looking for kind of some information about how to run certain things and how to do certain things in the world of Dungeons & Dragons for your own games. And so tonight we're going to be talking about combat. Not just combat, but how to add narrative to your combat. How to make your combat not drag on and make it boring for your players, because it can tend to do that. Some of you may even think it happened last night in our session. But I will talk to you about some of the mistakes I've made, some of the things I've learned over the last number of years. But first, we'll do some announcements. First off, I want to thank our awesome new title sponsor for Behind the Screen, Forged Gaming. Forged Gaming is an incredible creator of tabletop RPG stuff for your table and for your coffee table. The idea is that they create things that look great on your coffee table as well as your gaming table, and that's kind of the idea. If you head to forgedgaming.com/RealmSmith, that is the affiliate link. You go there, we get a little bit of a kickback, which is great, and we thank them for allowing us to do that. And then if you use the promo code RealmSmith20 at their website, you will get 20% off, and that is the kind of the inaugural benefit and bonus that they are offering all of our viewers. So I want to thank Forged for making this show possible, and we're doing a giveaway tonight, folks. Another one. Last week we gave away the spell book from Forge. I showed you these, and they have these really cool dry erase cards, and they also fit the regular D&D spell cards. And then last night on the stream we gave away this awesome dice tower, this Reaper dice tower that you can find on their website. It is freaking amazing. We gave that away last night, and a lucky winner won that. Tonight we're giving away some dice. Who doesn't love dice? I'm going to show you all three versions. I don't necessarily know which one you'll be sent, but you will get potentially one of these three, but they are awesome. So let's take a look at that. Now, check these out. So these here, they have these, they're like digital number dice. They're going to be perfect for when I play or I potentially DM some Cyberpunk Red. Those are their kind of digital number dice. Super, super nice. And then we're going to unbox this other. It comes in this cool forged box. It's really close. The camera's really close tonight. That's good, because then you can see lots of detail. I am going to back out just a touch. So these are kind of the blood spackle dice. I don't know necessarily what they're called on the website, but they have the Forged logo, and they come in these really nice tins. I mean, a lot of people do dice, but not a lot of people take the care to give you the cool experience of opening it and the stuff. These are they're metal dice. They're white with like a blood splatter on them. I just rolled an 8 and a 6. I'll tell them to send you ones that roll higher. Comes in this cool tin with a forged logo. And then they have all these really cool stickers too. And I know they wanted me to kind of showcase these stickers, because they're original art done by somebody that they've commissioned to do this. And they have these really cool like forged stickers that you can just put on stuff. And they're just bonus. Like, here's a Let's Roll sticker. And we've got, I'm gonna put some of these on my DM laptop. Little Mimic sticker and a Forge sticker. Awesome. And then I also have a third set here that I'll show you. These are super cool. They remind me of like magical dice. All right, these ones are super cool. Look at these. They're like glittery and pretty awesome. Look at those. They're like this cool purple with blue inside. I just rolled a natural 20, folks. You can't see it there, but that is a natural 20. Anyways, so really cool dice sets from Forged. Tonight, we are going to give away one of those dice sets to a lucky viewer. All you have to do is in the chat, you need to write Forged, all one word, F-O-R-G-E-D. More than once you'll get disqualified. And just make sure that you don't do that. But go ahead, put that in the chat, and we will pull a winner at the end of the session after we're all done. And good luck to you all. Wow, really great viewership in the chat. Hello, everyone. I know Joel does this at the beginning of his show, so I'm going to do it at the beginning of mine. Hello, Kensei. Hello, Roman Wolf. Bullet Tukit. Trob as usual. Sakura, Regis, Night Road. All you good guys and gals and folks. Tam Good, Herviticus, Theatrical Man. This is the first time I've ever seen Theatrical. Sergeant Z, Barf Battle Brain, still my favorite name. Psycho Shape, ooh, TGC Striker, Purple Pretzel Tiefling. Okay. Dish Pickle, of course, as usual. Tabe Sapien 11. Plaid Introvert, Glock 89, Easy AK, S Good Kai. Of course, Shad and all the wonderful Smith Guardians are in the chat too. Scoob and Shad. Warped Paint, Jazzfall, of course, April Lynn. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right. Tonight, obviously, behind the screen. Thursday, we have a Player's Table with Joel Auger. And then, of course, on Monday, we have episode 11, guys. That's the second last episode of the season. It has been a crazy time. I'm sure you have questions for me regarding last night's session, because it was a doozy. My brain still hurts. And hi, Gator Jules. I knew you were in there earlier. But you made fun of my Serbian, even though you are Serbian. So technically, you have the right to. If you're enjoying what you're watching, consider following, because I just saw this go off. If it blinks purple, in case you folks don't know, during the session you'll see this go off every once in a while. Purple means we have a Twitter follower. Blue means there's a new subscriber. And green means that bits have been spent. And if it goes all different colors, you've been rated. Just in case all of you wonder what that is when it happens. And somebody just spent 50 bits. Thank you, Psycho Shape. All right, digging first into narrative combat, and then we can answer questions for the second half of the show. So one thing that I've struggled with, especially on a stream, and a lot of this will be coming from my experience on a stream, but it also can be applied to your home game as well. What I've found is it's difficult sometimes to make combat interesting. Sometimes it goes a long time. It's a lengthy process, and it's a very math-driven, calculation-driven process. And that can unfortunately become a little dry. at times. Thank you for the bits. And one way that I've learned to make combat more interesting is to infuse some narrative. So everything that I do in my game is narrative driven. I'm not a rules lawyer type dungeon master, which you guys have noticed and commented on profusely on our YouTube page, our YouTube, and one of the things, obviously, and the number one rule is that there are no rules, as D&D themselves say in their guides and in their source books, that you make this game what you want to give the fun and provide the experience that you want. So I find it funny when people kind of get on our YouTube page, and there's been a couple individuals recently who like literally negative comments on every video, who call us out on our bad calls, on our bad rules calls. And I find that funny because we're playing our game the way that we want, and if people want to enjoy it, that's great. And I appreciate positive feedback. I appreciate somebody saying, oh, this is how this rule works. Just for future notice. I love that. I love reminders, and I've had a lot from last night. But on the other side, people who are negative about it and talk negatively about our stream, negatively about our players, about me as a DM, because we don't follow the rules as written or forget certain rules, kind of ruins the fun of what we're doing. We're playing a game at this table, and the number one rule is fun. My number one rule, and I've said this many times, the way I see it is my responsibility is to make sure that I provide a fun experience for my players. If I've done that, and if they go away from the table having fun, I've accomplished that. And even over the last 2 episodes, even though Joel, playing Plunk Rock, didn't even do much last night because Plunk Rock was out of the fight a lot, he said it was one of the most fun sessions, the last 2 sessions, one of the most fun couple sessions he's ever played of D&D with us yet. So for me, it's all about fun. We're playing a game. It's an escape. The last thing I want to do is to nitpick about rules or do that. Rules for me are the guideline, they're the guidance of what's going on. But if there's a narrative moment, and all of my players, including Joel, have said, death adds to story. If somebody dies, if something bad happens, whatever, that just adds to this story. We're building a story together. We're not building a rule set together, or we're not, if that makes sense. It's the story building aspect of this that's the most fun. And if you look at it like that, it's easier to take certain things. Anyways, I digress. When it comes to combat, I infuse narrative into all aspects of the game, especially combat. And one thing that I found, and this is, if you can take anything away from what I say tonight, it is this, that I'm gonna put more kind of like combat music on. What do you guys think? More combating music. If there's one thing that you can take away, it's that the way that I break up the monotony of initiative, because it gets in. I mean, we did 8 turns of initiative, 8 rounds of initiative last night across, I want to say 12 people, maybe even more. I have my initiative here, actually. We have, let me count how many people we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I had 16 initiative steps or people in initiative last night. 16. How do I take that and not have it be monotonous? And I do the whole, like, try and keep it moving as quickly as possible, but even that still gets monotonous. So the one thing I do is I infuse narrative moments to break up the combat. I choose cool story aspects or moments that help do that. There was a time where I would describe every hit. It slashes across your arm and blood, but that gets monotonous too. So you've noticed I don't do that as much anymore with every single attack. Only with some of the more kind of noteworthy or narrative or big attacks, crucial attacks, natural 20s, natural 1s, and some moments that are really cool. So if the player says, I do this really cool thing, then I will embellish on that. But last night, you'll notice a couple things. First off, my first interruption to interrupt the monotony of initiative was I had new people join the fight. That's a great way to kind of mix it up and keep people on their toes. Because if you're fighting a giant for, 15, 20 rounds, the same thing over and over again, nothing changes. Anyways, it gets a bit much. It gets to be monotonous. So the first thing I did was I had 3 earrings and Yanil come in halfway into the combat. It probably was round 3 or 4, maybe even 5. So right in the middle, we're at 8. We're in round 8 right now, turn 9. Right in the middle, I injected new members to kind of add a new target, add some new interest. I also create environmental things that happen that break it up too. So when they killed the rudder, I could have said it just slowed down, but I had them all roll a dexterity saving throw, something that should have happened during the combat that wasn't based in the combat, but something in the environment. And using the environment can either make an encounter easier or harder or just more interesting. The explosion on the Dead Man's Plank, spoiler warnings for those that didn't see last night's episode. Things like that to just break up the combat monotony of just going from initiative step to initiative step. Another big one was Bolt's moment. So I took a moment. He was fighting, and inside baseball, folks, I keep saying baseball, I don't watch baseball, but inside baseball, folks, I didn't plan that at all. That whole part with Bolt, I never, ever, ever thought about it or was going to add it, or it wasn't preconceived. In that moment, I thought there was a lot of fire around, things are on fire, bonfire, Dragonborn, great opportunity, great moment to infuse Bolt's background and what he's been struggling with lately into the combat. Had him roll some wisdom saving throws, and you guys saw how that went. Great moment. And there are more moments coming. And so sometimes it's intentional kind of infusion of narrative and pre-planned, like the explosion was pre-planned. 3 earrings and Yanil coming in was pre-planned. I knew that was going to happen before the session. But then there's other moments where you see a moment, you're like, you know what, this is a great moment to break up that combat, tell a bit of a story, and then continue on. It's a nice little intermission between all of the drawn out kind of. So that's one big one, is narrative moments and infuse the environment, let the environment, the characters, the backstory add narrative flair to a combat scenario. Another one is descriptiveness. So instead of you hit 10 hit points, you hit 6 hit points. You hit and your dagger runs deep. If it's a really big roll, embellish that roll. If they roll a ton of damage, have them. What I've done is I've had people lose limbs, or lose eyesight in one eye because of some trauma or something like that. Have them stumble around, have them start to look weak. I've always found it weird in Dungeons and Dragons how sometimes DMs will say, the creatures tend to go from 100% of their hit points, and nothing changes in the way that they act until 0, and then all of a sudden they're unconscious, other than knowing that they're bloodied. I like to describe and narrate their downfall into unconsciousness. That's another big one. There was another point that I had in my brain, and I can't remember it. In ways to... audio is a great way as well. I have Sirenscape playing right now, where, just throwing in a fire spell in the middle of it just makes it a bit more interesting, a bit more exciting. A change in mood and having different crescendos of different music can really help to keep and draw people in. And then coupling that with what I said last week, which was sometimes insurmountable odds. Heroes having to overcome insurmountable odds. Folks, like I said, right, if you trusted us, you'd see how things would go. Yes, there was death. Absolutely. And unfortunate death. And we could talk about that. I don't want to necessarily spoil that. I may in some of the questions. And there may be more death. There's another person who was very close to death. And again, though, you can see how the tide of battle shifted. There was balance infused. There was. It never felt like, obviously the Revelry felt like they were really on top, and then the characters came back. I didn't expect that at all, folks. That was completely unexpected. And I think that that's what makes combat interesting. It's the unexpected turns and shifts in power. And if you can infuse that narrative in there to keep it interesting, then in the end, everyone wins because everybody has fun. They have a story to tell. And yeah, hopefully if there's anything you can take from that, that is what I would say you can take, is to try and infuse narrative into your combat in very clear intermission moments throughout. They notice something, it reminds them of something, and it draws them further, or it pulls them back. And you'll see that in movies where there's a combat and then they'll stop and they'll look at each other and there'll be words exchanged or thoughts. The other thing, too, that I wanted to say, and I don't do this enough and I need to do it more, is conversation and taunting and interaction between the characters. I just typically go like, you fight this and this person fights and that person fights and this person fights. But to have a enemy mock the characters or roar in the characters' faces or make some sort of gesture or something like that also makes it a lot more real, also makes it a lot more present and a lot more interesting. I think hopefully we did a whole session of combat, and I know there are a couple comments last night about how it felt like, oh, can we just end this combat now? But to me as a DM, it was the first time that I had a whole session of combat that it didn't feel daunting, or I was tired after in my brain, but I wasn't exhausted emotionally. Like I loved it, and I didn't feel like it dragged. I felt like it was interesting, and maybe it was because it was player versus player and I wasn't controlling it. That could be part of it. But it was really fun, and there were some really cool moments. Anyways, I'll leave that with you guys. Ask your questions on that, please, if you have any, as we go into a question kind of section now. This is a session or section where you guys can ask your questions, whatever it is that is on your brain, whether it be about last night's session or some technical questions that you have, whatever it is. I'm sure you guys have tons of questions for last night, and I'm already seeing that there are a bunch here in the list. A couple other things. I've uploaded all of the old BTS sessions. I'm sure you guys got I'm sorry for all the notifications in Discord today, but all the past BTS all the past behind the screen sessions are now all up on YouTube. You can watch them on our channel and catch up if you haven't watched previous sessions. Also, I've started uploading all the old Sentinels of the Storm session, which was our first campaign that we did. I am in the midst of doing the same thing I did with Order of Dragon's Bane and putting them all up on YouTube so you guys can watch them if you want to go back and watch how we struggled through technical issues then. But there's a lot of fun stuff there. And check it out because it's a blast. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, words are hard. That is true, especially Tuesday after a session. Man, Mondays are a pretty exhausting day, a draining day for me because I prep all day. It's kind of running around, and then it's from like Sunday night or Sunday afternoon I start prepping all the way basically till Monday night, and then I just bleh, and then I get up Tuesday whenever I wake, and then I'm back at it. So, all right, here we go. Qlith says. And again, folks, if you have questions, write question at the beginning of your question in the chat, or comment if you have a comment, and then our Smith Guardians will send me these questions as we go. Qlith asks, or says, at the start of the season, I had real misgivings about turning against the party. Now, after seeing them squirm, I'm okay with it. Que sera, sera. Right? And again, I think that that's the case. I think that it comes down to trust. Last night was scary, folks, on a lot of, you had party members going down left, right, and center. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew if they were going to survive. It was pretty insane. Like, really insane. And I didn't know how it was going to end. Last night did not go the way that I expected it to. After the first session, I thought for sure the party was going to get captured. But they proved everyone wrong. Regus says, comment last night was awesome. Oh, last night was a comment. Last night was awesome. Got it. That's a little different. Psycho Shape says, fun beats rules every time. I agree 100%, Psycho Shape. Regis says, boo, it's all about having fun. I agree. Sakura says, the thing you did with Bolt's backstory, brilliant. Chef kiss. Thank you very much. Yeah, again, it was that moment of inspiration that I had. And again, backstories, folks. Backstories feed this. Adding detailed backstories to your characters feeds the DM moments like this. That's where we get them. Jay Ladoon asks, was that explosion just a narrative input and the Bolt character influence item? Wow. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And no, it wasn't just a narrative input. It was something, again, I think that it's important to feel the world. So this was a moment for Jolzos and the Revelry to feel that the threat was real. And there's also some story and backstory and narrative aspects to that, which we'll find out later. But yeah, no, that was definitely a narrative. It was both. It was narrative and it was situational. Regis asks, what was your thought after last week's where 17,000 bits were spent in one go? I knew it was going to be hard for the party. I was glad that we had targeted specific parts of ships. Otherwise, it would have gone very differently. And I mean, the Smith Guardians and I were talking last night, and just kind of debriefing after the session. And we talked about the fact that, the Dead Man's Plank is far, 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 far superior to the Wave Chaser. If we had just said bits can be spent however you want, the Wave Chaser would have been done, the party would have drowned, it would have been bad. That was our balance. Our balance was orders were given to the Revelry crew at the time to only capture. And all bets were off, and the gloves were off for the party. And that was the balance that was required to bring balance to that combat. And again, remember I said, it's okay to put insurmountable, crazy, unbalanced odds against somebody as long as you balance it in another way. And as you folks can see, the way the tide turned, balance. But not perceived balance. Not in your face, obvious balance. And that's the best kind of balance. Because the fear and the drama and the danger is still there, but it's still fair and it's still exciting. Jay Ladoon asks, since the heroes are lower level, combat tends to go more quickly. Is that why you seem to prefer the lower level to mid-level campaign? Level 12 keeps combat quicker. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of, I like lower level campaign because of real danger. As you get higher, you get into epic level monsters and stuff, which is great. But for me, I don't know. I like the squishiness of lower level, like level 1 to 5, 1 to 10 characters for me. But again, we'll get there, folks. Glock89 asks, Jason, do you find when you describe the monster's downfall from 100 to 0, it's tough to do to players because it could cause injuries they can't recover from? I struggle with that myself. Sometimes. So if it's a creature, if it's a random encounter, I don't care. If it's an NPC, I'm careful. But again, that just adds story. Just like the worst thing that could possibly happen is a player dies. Right? The worst thing you can imagine would happen on a stream or in a campaign is a player character dies. That's worse than losing a limb. That's worse than any of that. But that still adds narrative. That still adds story. Think about Mollymauk in the Critical Role campaign of the Mighty Nine. In their, you think about what that character death, spoiler warning, did to that campaign. What it did to the other members of the group. What it did to the community. I don't want characters to die, but if they do, that's not the end. They still serve a purpose. It adds to the story. I mentioned last week, again, another spoiler warning, in Braveheart, if his wife didn't die at the beginning, it would have been a completely different movie. Gladiator, if his family didn't die, completely different movie. Crypt Fox, I don't recognize that name. Welcome if this is your first time watching. Question, how much session prep do you do? It depends on the session. So I prepped all of Nicodranus last week. I probably spent a couple days on it in all over the last while, and we didn't even get there yet. But I tend to over prep, like prep lots, and then it gives me a couple weeks of kind of breath. But I usually prep Sunday evening and then Monday most of the day until like 5 p.m. Eastern, and then I start getting ready for like the production stuff. So like a day and a half a week, I'd say, if not more, depending on builds. If there's big builds, it could be 2 days. But that's kind of more or less. And my day on a Monday, though, will probably I'll start into it like 11, 12 o'clock noon. So, probably eight hours per week I'm spending prepping for this specific session. Around. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Barf Battlebrain says, I highly recommend the old stuff, especially Sentinels. Thank you. Again, we struggle through a lot of stuff, but Sentinels, man, that was our first kind of foray into it, and there's so many feels on so many different levels, and you guys will know why if you watch it. I won't spoil anything. Completely different cast, or not completely, sorry. Quite different cast. We have Jeff and Todd and Monica as part of that cast, and some other guests and stuff, but definitely watch the old stuff if you guys have some time. It's so fun. So fun. And maybe if you start watching, by the time you get to the episodes we're missing, they'll be uploaded. JCLC says, or asks, with Christina going against 50 enemies on her own, are you going to try and save her or just let her go out in a blaze of glory? Here's the thing, folks. When she said she was going to do that, she's a new player again, right? She doesn't quite understand the consequences and the realities of the game just yet. She's getting there, right? And this is not a knock in any way, shape, or form on Christina at all. This is just somebody who's never played D&D before and is kind of coming into it and learning as she goes. And so I just wanted to make sure she was aware, with a survival check, what she was getting into. And she decided to do it anyways, or decided to, like, figure it out. I think it's great. It's heroic. It's like it's that moment where the hero turns and to face the army, the insurmountable odds again, right? Everyone at the table is like, no, you're going to die. Everybody at home is like, no, you're going to die. She might. Or she might go out in a blaze of glory, or she might find some way to completely flip the script and save Plunk. Who knows, right? I love it. That's what I love. I love that the players have the ability to do whatever they want, and they should feel that way. I wasn't trying to dissuade her. I was trying to inform her, and she will do what she wants to do. Comment. Reyes is pronounced Reyes. Thank you. Reyes, now I know. Jay Ladoon asks, is it possible for the Revelry to undergo a schism and factional support for the wanted members of the party? Not trying to get a full-on factional war in Darktoe, but having those options would be interesting. We've talked about that, and we're still thinking about it and looking at it. So thank you for that. Stay tuned. TCGE Striker says, as cruel as it sounds, having squishy players truly does make for some amazing, memorable sessions. It does, right, guys? Like, imagine if the party had a bunch of healing potions and spells and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, the danger isn't as scary, right? It was real last night because they were no armor, very few spells. It was real, very real. April Lynn says, I have to say that interacting with everyone through RP and Discord this week and then seeing them on the stream added a whole new element. Thank you. And that's exactly why we do it. Exactly. I was worried for them having started to develop new relationships with their characters and wondered about all the new things this interaction would be adding to the RP in the future. So cool. I think so too, folks. We're figuring it out as we go. There are going to be mistakes. Character lives will be lost. But I promise no real people's lives are in the balance through our role play. We're playing in fantasy and in a world where we're just trying to figure it out. And I think it's great. I think that, again, we are together, folks, doing something that's never been done before. It's nuts. It's nuts to have... I even read it recently on one of our Facebook posts. Somebody commented and said, they're doing something nobody's ever done on the Discord. They actually have viewers playing on stream. It's insanity. No one's ever done it. No one's tried it that I know of. Not in D&D. And here we are. And it's great. Easy AK says, I think if there is no feeling that characters can die, the story is not as good. 100%. That may... where some of the rules lawyers come in. I've seen streams where the DM was clearly protecting the party. You do not do that. Thank you, because I've been accused of doing that. I've been accused of going easy on the party. There isn't enough danger, especially in Barovia. They should have died. They should have done this. Like, this is the thing. It's funny because I got some comments again a couple weeks ago where somebody was saying, "There's never any danger." Everybody just kind of runs through it. I also got comments about, you're going to kill the party, and in all of these years, folks, I have a secret to tell you. I've never killed a party member, not of my own, not of my own volition. Party members have died because they've decided to play another character, or they wanted to move on, whatever the case may be. But I've never killed one. Not finally. Muskoka was close. Plunk Rock's close. But I've never killed one. So all the concern about imbalance and bad rules, it all works out. It all works out. And now, technically, there were characters that died last night. They weren't my party. And that was PvP, so I'm not responsible. But anyways, it adds story. Psycho Shape asks, have the characters completely blindsided you this season with any major character decisions or actions? Oh my gosh, Christina blindsides me all the freaking time. Going back to the ship and attacking Eliseed was blindsiding. I was like, what are you doing? Going up and pulling on the Plain King's hair, for example. Crazy things like that where she just does things because she's this like halfling with all this zeal is fantastic. I love it. I love being kept on my toes. Mel was like that too in both campaigns. Callie especially, like pushing oh my gosh, I just totally lost her name. This is my 41-year-old brain messing up. Oh, I just told you. But anyways, pushing that main NPC character against the wall with a dagger and saying, tell us, like all that stuff. It's all very much unexpected, and I love it. I love when people do that, especially, and you'll find that new players do it more than older players. Older players are careful, they're strategic, they're tactful, they don't want to die. New players are like, I'm just going to roleplay my character the way that I want to roleplay it. And, it's so good. Moose2271 asks, I know you had a lot going on. Did you decide to skip the damage the falling mast would have done to the ship? Historically, those masts on the ship that size weighed 2,000 pounds. Depending on height, etc., the impact would have tossed people overboard. Yeah, so again, there was a lot going on. And there was a lot more that should have happened if it was realistic or real life than did. But both sides had enough challenges on their own. I wanted to be careful about how much damage environmental stuff like that would do. Yes, the mast falling would absolutely have done damage. I did note damage for the ship that I didn't even make a big deal about because again, I wanted to compartmentalize the hull from the masts specifically and purposely, and that's why. Jelladune says, Christina has blazing courage for her companions, the wave chaser, willing to sacrifice herself to try to save the rest. So good. And even her like running and jumping on the giant shark, for example, just great moments, like heroic moments. That's what we want. We don't want our heroes playing it safe. Moose 2271. I also have some rules on drowning from first edition books and modules, also from TSR when we called them. Yeah, so we talked about it afterwards. I was kind of doing it right for drowning. Basically, they go into suffocation if they're unconscious, and they lose a death save every round. So I let Plunk roll them where he should have been. So he is going to take 2 automatic death saves instead. We're retconning that between sessions. So Plunk is at 2 failed death saves, for the record. Question. It has been a while since you have been able to play a D&D game. How was it getting to play for change? Yeah, so I've been playing, for the last 2 Saturdays, I've been playing on Scoob's channel. You guys can watch that on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. I've been playing a Durgar Ranger Beastmaster. It's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. I love playing. It's a nice change of pace, and I haven't been able to play in a while, so it's been really, really great and a lot of fun, and stretching some muscles that I haven't used in a little while. Hervidicus asks, if the party were to get captured and taken back to Darktoe, narratively this puts them back almost in the same place for Season 2 as when they started. How does this affect your overarching story since the season is almost over? Yeah. I'm figuring that out. That's why I have a skeleton of where I think things might go. And because I have a story, like the story is in the mountains, but if they get back to Darktoe, that changes everything. And I have to be willing and able to just roll with it. And it absolutely changes where we end the season. It absolutely changes where next season starts. But that's fun. That's the fun of D&D. That's the greatest thing about D&D that's different from video games, for example, or any other sort of game where you're on rails to an extent, right? Like anything can happen, and I have to be prepared for it. Jilladun says, I'm still holding out for the tours of the table and room and the potential for a RealmsCon where we invade your set. So, yeah. So I did do a studio tour, and that should be in one of the old sessions. I don't know what number session that is. Maybe the Smith Guardians know. I should know, but I don't. But, yeah, a tour of the room would be really cool. I could... That's a disaster, though. I was going to say, I could technically give you the room using our PTZ and the remote. But you know what I will do? I'll show you the craziness that is the table right now that you guys don't see. I'll give you a little bit of an inside look, Jay Ladoon. RealmCon, oh my gosh. Folks, I hope we can do it. I don't know. RealmCon is a fan event that we want to do in October. Invite people to Toronto. Obviously, you all would have to figure out how to get here, but we would basically rent a space and we'd be able to meet and play games and stream, and it'll just be an amazing kind of opportunity. I hope it can happen. Reyes says, nice disclaimer on the Discord deaths. Thanks. It was really great, guys, last night, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I'm going to say it, and I just hope the Discord doesn't hate me for it. You know, John Jazzfall, Jolzos, who's one of the Smith Guardians, talked to the players on the Discord about the fact that there may be death that happens, and there was. And, like, it makes me so happy to hear that. Not happy, but it gives me so much pride to know that you guys care so much that they actually said that it would be an honor to die at the party's hands. Like, that's how invested our community is. Our community is so incredible that they actually said, we'll create secondary characters. It would be an honor to have the party kill our character. Like, man, to go where we have and to be where we are and to have you guys behind us is like, it's crazy. It's crazy. MRV8R asks, and I think that's the first time I've ever seen MV8R. Mr. Vader. I'm a new DM, having recently started running Rime of the Frost Maiden. Great campaign. I would like to start investing in minis and possibly terrain. What would you recommend as a good starting point that I could get the most value for my dollar? Great question. I would absolutely check out the Mithril tile set Kickstarter that is going on right now. I wasn't necessarily going to talk about it tonight, but I'm going to go grab a couple of those tiles right now, actually, and just show you what they are. When it comes to minis, the cheapest minis out there right now are absolutely the cheapest minis right now are the WizKids Unpainted Minis. And we have a bunch. We've done a bunch of painting tutorials. If you don't care about having painted miniatures, that's one way to do it. And to get a bunch of minis like a la carte, so one at a time, would be a great way to do that for miniature wise. Anyways, these are the Mithril tile former tiles for terrain. Looks crazy, right? Just they're magnetic tiles. And you know what? I'm just going to show you real quick. I did a review on our YouTube page. I just posted it. And just posted it. You guys can check it out. Let's move these stickers. But basically, look, they're tiles. It's a tile set that you can literally just pop together, and they're magnetic. Oh, and they're sticking to this Dwarven Forge mat, which is great. But I can literally, and the kind of modular nature, they're cost effective, and you can really quickly build. I don't have the proper wall tiles, but you can really quickly build. I need another wall here to make that work, but buildings and such with these, it's super cool. I don't have the proper tiles anyways, but you can see what I'm doing here. But basically, they're just magnetic tiles that snap together really quickly. Oh, wrong side. That you can just like, bam, create a building with. That's a great way for somebody who's just getting into Dungeons and Dragons. And then literally, watch this. You just like fold it all in, do this, and you're done. And you've got a stack of tiles again that you can put away. Really cool. Really awesome. Check it out, tileformers.com. They have that going on right now. That's a little bit of a shout out to them. Other than that, obviously building your own stuff. I do a lot of crafting. There's a lot of great crafting channels out there, so if you want a cost-effective approach to, but it's time-consuming. Papercraft is the other way. Fat Dragon Games has tons of papercraft. We used to use almost exclusively papercraft for a very long time. And there's lots of videos on our YouTube about how to make better papercraft, ultimate papercraft, how to dress up and make it more structurally strong or sound for the papercraft. So check that out. But those are my suggestions, as well as WizKids. Warlock Tiles are cost-effective, not as much as tile formers, but they're there. And then of course Dwarven Forge is kind of the next echelon that we use, but that can be cost prohibitive, but in my opinion, some of the best kind of stuff that you can see or get. Comment from Jayladun. Haha, Jason, whatever you say to yourself so you can sleep at night. Character count +2. Listen, Jayladun. Tamgood, NPC Irina. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. New t-shirt, Jump the Shark. That's a good one. Oh! We released new t-shirts for Into the Mist. You can check them out on our store below the video here in our Teespring store. We have a I Really Blew It shirt with an exploding Vardo for Dimitri. And we also have the Can I Touch It organ shirt. Marking Callie's awesome line. So anyways, check those out. They're in our store now if you haven't already seen that. Easy AK says, redo how you built your DM screen. Yeah, so I have a video of how I built this. I promise I'm creating a video. I still have all the footage of how I built the table. I've been promising that for a long time. I'm going to post it soon. That's what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to try and get that video done. Of player characters' deaths, Jinx's death was one of the most epic ever. Yeah, so in Sentinels, a Dragonborn character played by Jeff. Bruno, stop it. He's licking his paws, which he does, and it's loud, and he sounds like a shambling mound or something. Anyways, yeah, Jinx's death, but again, that was a planned-ish death. He wanted to play a more fun kind of character that was closer to his personality, inside baseball, and so we found a way to make that happen. And he didn't necessarily die. We don't know that he died or not, actually, folks. So, Reyes says, some have already made new characters. I have 4 characters pre-made to switch between Barovian tides. Traub says, will the Revelry have a service for the Fallen? Good question. That's up to you guys. Plaid Introvert says, thought if they end up back in Darktoe, maybe an undercover faction of us in the Revelry can aid in the escape. Some of us may be sympathetic. Love that, actually. It's a great idea. How many Treants died to make the 10 players table? That's a good question. All right, folks. I will show you. I promised I would show you a little sneak peek of what the table looks like. It's a disaster. I don't know why I do these things. But I will absolutely show you what the table currently, the disaster that is the table. Don't know why. There we go. All right, so I'm going to do a slow zoom out. Here we go. So there's the makeshift giant shark. Then I've got my forged stuff. You guys are getting like a real inside look here. I never show anybody this mess. And this is obviously last night's Carnage. I'm going to give you a sneak peek, folks. Don't tell the players. If anybody could tell me what this is, you will get my utter respect. First person to say what they think this is. Not the sewers. Roman Wolf says, geez, Jason, clean your room. Yeah. Tomb of Alienation Temple? No. Not the Temple of Uk'otoa. Nope. Underwater Dungeon, the Plain King? Nope. An Orca. Well, yeah, that is an Orca. But that's not what I'm talking about. Does anybody know what this is? Sea Hag Lair, a Brig. Roman Wolf gets it. I will not say what it is, but Roman Wolf absolutely gets it. So does Finke. Very good. I won't say what it is. You guys can have at it, and talk about it. But Roman Wolf, you have my respect. I prepped this just in case the characters went and did something that they were going to do. Oh, there's some batteries there. Oh, check it out. So I've been prepping the puzzle floor for a future campaign, for a future adventure. And these are the puzzle floor pieces from Dwarven Forge. Check this out. They have little stickers, and you can like move them around like they're puzzle floor options. It's so cool. This PTZ thing is pretty awesome. Okay, one more thing I'm going to give you a little look of is the disaster that is my here. The disaster that is my DM cart here. Look, it's right over here beside me. Look at this disaster of a cart. I have to clear it. I should be clearing it like after every too much. After every session. But it's just leftovers from a bunch of stuff. And you'll see actually some things, folks, in here that you might recognize. I wonder what that's for. Post-its, Barovia coins, tarot cards, water elemental. all kinds of things. You remember this from like sessions and sessions ago. Anyways, it's a mess. That's what I'll show you. That's it. That's all you got for now. When I actually cleaned it this past week, and then in prep for tonight, it was a disaster again. So I will give you a better tour of more later. Actually, what I will do is this. Okay, folks, fine. I'm going to go all the way over. Oh, that's my Thunder Smite shirt. Oh, those are our little initiative markers. Those are fun. See how close we can get. Oh, yeah. Our Hero Forge initiative markers. Isla's still here. Okay. Let's get over here. That's the fire and other stuff. Okay, let's see if I can actually see how much of this I can show you. This is my one of the areas of my storage solution for the studio. This is where we store all of our terrain and our minis. It's pretty nuts. Warlock Tiles. These are all labeled very specifically. Giant furniture. Actually, I haven't used that since Storm King's Thunder. That's hilarious. If you guys see stuff you want to see, maybe next session I can show you some more. These are all our monsters. Large beasts, oozes, town items, large furniture, small furniture, winged creatures. You'll recognize those docks from some of the papercraft stuff that we did. And then we have all our cubbies up here for when the players are in the room. Aw, Brando and Joel. They have cubbies. These are all our Dwarven Forge pieces. And these are some more Dwarven Forge things. Anyways, I don't know if that's interesting or not, but you guys asked for a little bit of a sneak peek, so I gave it to you. All right, you guys are awesome. Last night was awesome. Thank you to the Tier 3s that played last night, and to all the Tier 3s and the rest of the folks and the subscribers. It's been amazing. Thank you for your support. We couldn't do this without you guys. We honestly really couldn't, and we wouldn't even want to. And that's only a little bit of it, folks. Scoop said he's jealous over the collection. It's everywhere in my house. Anyways, that's just the stuff that I use on a weekly basis or I need access to. Thank you. I love you guys. And I can't say that. That's just something I say. I honestly, truly have great love for our community and for you folks. And Scoob, do you have your show happening in 1 minute today? Because if so, we're going to raid you. Is that happening? I believe it is. We do have a Revelry Recap, actually, that I just got. Oh, he's on YouTube. That's right. Okay, make sure you guys check out Scoob on YouTube. I'm going to do the Revelry Recap real quick for this past week, and then we will be off. This week in Discord, Captain Sid gathered a team of salvagers and set sail on the Seahawk. Joining Captain Sid that day, Captains Sky Eyes, Moonchild, Scythe, and Loken. They made good time, and the winds were in their favor. But then Scythe shouted the alarm. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change up the music here again. They made good time, and the winds were in their favor. But then Scythe shouted the alarm as he spotted a ship. Upon approach, they could see the sails were drawn, but no crew was to be seen. They approached and Sky Eyes swung onto the deck of the mysterious ship. It appeared abandoned. A little mood lighting here. Seeing Sid and Loken about to descend into the ship, Scythe reached out his mind to detect any minds that may be on the ship. Many minds, not just his crew, filled his consciousness. Just then, several grizzled, specialized Zalezo guards burst forth from the captain's quarters and below decks and attacked viciously. The free folk managed to subdue the Zalezo scum with quick thinking and sound tactics for all. You know, I should narrate this with Sirenscape. It's good. Just when they thought things were quieting down and they could return with their salvage, a crew member aboard the Seahawk alerted them to the sightings of yet another Zalezo ship, sails full on collision course. Before they could move the Seahawk, the new ship slammed into their hull. I don't have a slam. I don't know what to use for a slam. Oh, it's going to be good. That's a door creaking. Okay, that's going to have to do. And I've lost my part here. Their numbers seemed limitless. They even managed to surround Captain Sid. With the Revelry captain on their ship, the new Zalezo captain called for a retreat. Luckily, the Seahawk was able to disable their rear mast and halt their escape. Seeing their luck was turning, the cowardly Zalezo attempted to negotiate their surrender. The free folk showed no quarter and escorted them to a watery grave. With 2 ships now in tow and the hold filled to the brim with salvage and prisoners, the party journeyed back to Darktow with great revelry. Thanks to Mr. Kelly, Ket Matari, and Willow the DM for the amazing stories that helped make this update possible. Thank you. And thank you, Hillary Major Zip, for putting that together. Tanner Me 54 is the winner of the dice set for or from Forged Gaming. Check them out again one more time. Here is the link. Again, this is an affiliate link that we get a little bit of a kickback from, so make sure that you use that. forgedgaming.com/RealmSmith. Oh, and they just announced tonight. They did this for us today. They just launched worldwide shipping. Just today. I emailed this afternoon. I said, hey guys, they're asking about European shipping. Worldwide shipping. So they just did that, and you can use the promo code RealmSmith20 to get 20% off your order from the website. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much. And take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Hopefully the world is a better place in the next coming little while, and we can get together at some point in the future. You guys have a good night.